Marcus opened the door wearing only sweatpants, and the second he saw it was me. His whole face did something I'd never seen a human face do before, and it just emptied out. Hey, man, he said too fast, already stepping back instead of forward. She's not here. I wasn't even looking for her. I was looking for him, her roommate, the guy who'd grilled burgers with me on the 4th of July, who'd given me a beer and complained about his fantasy football team like we were friends. And in that 1 second, watching him try to close a door that wasn't even halfway open yet, I understood something my body knew before my brain caught up. I want to back up because you need to understand how long I'd been the world's biggest idiot. Sarah and I had been together 2 years and 3 months. Good relationship by every measure I had access to. The one consistent shadow over it was her sister, Claire. 18 months earlier, something happened between them. Sarah never told me what, just that Claire had crossed a line and betrayed her trust. And that was apparently the end of the discussion forever. And I'm the guy who believes in family. My parents divorced when I was 12, and I spent my whole adolescence watching two people who used to love each other refuse to be in the same room. So when Sarah cut her sister off completely, something in me couldn't let it sit. I pushed. Gently, I thought. Lovingly, I thought. Have you thought about just calling her? Family doesn't just disappear, Sarah. Whatever she did, don't you think it's worth talking through? I offered more than once to help broker peace. I said I'd sit in the room with both of them if it would help. I told her I'd never forgive myself if something happened to one of them and they hadn't spoken in years over something that, in the grand scheme of life, probably wasn't worth a sibling. She'd get quiet every time. I read that as pain, grief, even. I thought I was being patient with someone's wound. That night, I wasn't even trying to be a hero. I'd been driving past Claire's building after a late meeting, and I thought, why not? Why not just knock, be the bridge I kept offering to be? I texted Sarah, stopping by your sisters, wish me luck, like an idiot walking into his own ambush. Marcus answering the door like that, it didn't fit. Roommates don't look like they've seen a ghost. So I asked him flat out where Claire was. She's at her boyfriend's. I'll tell her you stopped by. He was already shutting the door. I don't know what made me do it, but I texted Claire directly, right there in the hallway, just, hey, can we talk? I think it's time. She called me, not texted, called within 90 seconds. Are you actually asking me this? She said. Not a question, a verdict. Claire, I just think 18 months is long enough for whatever. Has she told you anything about why we stopped talking? She said you crossed a line. Claire laughed, not a happy sound, the kind of laugh that comes out when something's been sitting in your chest so long it's gone rotten. I crossed a line, she repeated. Okay, sit down, Daniel. I should have told you 18 months ago, but it wasn't my secret to tell, and God help me, I actually thought keeping my mouth shut was protecting you. And then she told me. She'd found out by accident scrolling through Sarah's old laptop looking for a recipe their mom had sent, messages, months of them, Marcus's name attached to things no roommate says to a roommate, hotel confirmations going back almost a year. Claire confronted Sarah, not to expose her, but begged her to end it, to tell me, to do anything except keep living a double life next to a man who trusted her completely. Sarah's response wasn't guilt, it was rage at Claire for knowing. The falling out wasn't Claire betraying Sarah's trust, it was Claire trying to save mine. The sister I'd spent 18 months campaigning for, the relationship I'd practically begged Sarah to repair, the woman I'd offered to personally sit down and make peace with. She was the one person who already knew the truth and had cut herself off rather than watch me get played for a fool at family dinners. I had been advocating for a year and a half for reconciliation with the one person actively trying to protect me. I was the unwitting PR campaign for my own betrayal. I drove to Sarah's that night. I didn't yell. I didn't even really talk much. I just packed a bag while she cried and tried explanations that kept changing shape. And I left her key on the counter like it was something I borrowed, and finally remembered to return. I'm fine now. Better than fine, actually. Claire and I still talk every few weeks. She apologizes sometimes for not telling me sooner, and I tell her she has nothing to apologize for. She was the only honest person in that whole story. Funny thing is, for over a year, I thought I was the one fighting for family. Turns out I was just the last person in the room who hadn't read the room.